Hello, everyone, and welcome to the September 22nd, 2021 All In for Kansas Kids bi-weekly webinar. We are excited to have you joining us today and spending your noon hour with us. We have some great information that we're going to be sharing out on our agenda today. We have our regular general updates that we will share with you on opportunities that are available throughout our early childhood network. We will get our relief funding update today from Michelle Allen. And then we have exciting news to share on the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and we will be hearing from Melissa Rooker and Pam Hunsaker for that. And then the Our Tomorrow's team will be doing a mini sense-making session with us to end out today's webinar. So a lot is going to be happening. We have started recently sharing information with you about the work of the Early Childhood Recommendations Panel. You are always invited to view those meetings on our YouTube channel, which happen on the third Friday of every month. And you have the link here to that recording that's available. They're also on there for you to go back to anytime you'd like to, and you can contact me if you would like to provide feedback or comments to the panel. We just got finished with our September 17th panel meeting last Friday. And during that meeting, we heard a feedback session from the panel members on draft language that we are going to be using by the for 1-800-CHILDREN for future funding opportunities. And you can reach out to Amanda Peterson at the Kansas State Department of Education to share your feedback for that. We also heard a links to quality program overview and discussion that took place with the panel, allowing them the opportunity to give feedback on the new health and safety link that the L2Q program is developing, as well as a work group for that project. And you can contact Megan Smith or Rachel Anno, who are both with DCF, to share any additional feedback on this subject that you have. And so you can find all of those contact links in the chat. Moving on to, oh, no, I forgot one part. So the second half of the meeting with the recommendations panel included the continuing work of the work groups that started in August. Those are for childcare recruitment and retention, family partnerships, and quality and environments. And the work groups discussed focus areas, and they started talking about action steps and possible recommendations and solutions that they will eventually bring to the full panel for consideration. And these are important next steps that are valuable in moving our work forward. And so again, you can always view all of those recordings and minutes on the Children's Cabinet website. Moving on, we have a free training on ASQ, which is the Ages and Stages Questionnaire. It's available on several dates through the end of 2021, and those are listed here for you. The ASQ3 training is designed for any professional who has contact with children younger than 66 months of age, and these will help you identify developmental delays early, allowing those children and families to receive services as soon as the delay is recognized. The ASQ SE2 training is designed for professionals who have contact with children younger than 72 months of age, and those will help you identify social or emotional difficulties early, again, allowing those families to get services as soon as possible. So find out more about the event and registration details on the TASN website, and Hannah will put that link in the chat. And this is also eligible for participants to receive KDHE clock hours. The upcoming Child Starts Early Childhood Job Fair that is based in the Wichita area has a date change. It is now going to be held on October 19th from 2 to 6 p.m. All Wichita area childcare centers, preschools, and early childhood service providers are encouraged and invited to attend. You can have a free virtual booth if you are interested, and you'll be able to have real-time conversations, receive applications, and also market any open positions that you might have. So you can register for this on the Child Start job fair page at the link provided here to learn more about how to connect with those local applicants who are interested in joining the field of early childhood care and education. The 2021 Virtual Home Visiting Conference is coming up. We've shared this information with you before as well. It's happening on the next week on the afternoons of September 27th and 28th from 12:30 to 4:30. This is an opportunity for you to learn about the home visiting system in Kansas. So registration is open. All attendees will receive a certificate of attendance, and you can visit this website for all of the details and registration about the conference. A webinar on the topic of unlocking ARPA requirements, grant writing tips, is happening on September 29th. Is your organization eligible and prepared to apply for American Rescue Plan Act funds and grants? What types of projects qualify for funding? So if you want to attend this short free webinar to prepare your organization to best utilize those ARPA resources, they will cover questions relating to hospitals, units of government, educational organizations, nonprofits, and new and seasoned grant writers. So you can click or you can go to this website to save your seat for this 1-hour webinar. And following the webinar's conclusion, a link to the recording will also be posted at the same link. Another virtual training opportunity is being offered. It's a free series of 5 interactive modules sponsored by Greenbush, and it's designed to connect families to resources and services that promote the healthy development of children 0 through 5. A nice perk about this opportunity is that you can receive up to $125 in stipends. $25 is available at the end of each module that you complete. So the modules are listed here that you have to choose from, and you can contact Barbara Ganaway, who is Greenbush's Family Community Engagement and Early Learning Consultant, at this email provided if you have any questions. And then there's also a link for registration and details that you can go to. At this time, I want to welcome Michelle Allen back to our webinar today, and she will share the latest updates on the pandemic relief funding. So, Michelle, are you here somewhere?
I am here somewhere.
Great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Allen, and I am the CCDF Pandemic Relief Project Manager at DCF. So we just have a couple exciting updates to share for October 1st is a really exciting day. So first, I just want to highlight a program that will be supported by Links to Quality that will work to support the recovery of Kansas early childhood care and education workforce by connecting all of our licensed child care providers and programs to individualized coaching, peer support, and other resources designed to promote program sustainability. It was determined that key elements of the piloted QRIS are really well positioned to support the early childhood workforce during the COVID-19 pandemic and recovery. So in order to meet the needs of today, Links to Quality has made the decision to temporarily just shift from a focus on expanding the quality evidence portfolio submission aspects of the system to expanding the access to coaching, consulting, and peer support as part of our response prior to the full implementation of our QRIS. So this opportunity will be called Program Administration Support. Many of you may know that program administration is the first link within the QRIS. So gonna base this on some of those same principles. So Links to Quality the support will be available to all licensed childcare providers in the state of Kansas, and we will work on promoting solid business practices in childcare environments. We'll offer one-on-one coaching and planning sessions, And the links to quality community consultants will be able to advise on accessing community resources, budgeting, insurance, and ways to strengthen policies and procedures that will help childcare businesses to thrive. So next slide. So our experience or programs of experience with the program administration support might include brainstorming a list of topics that a program is just wanting to learn more about, having collaborative conversations about business practices in large or small group settings, creating a plan to effectively meet goals, learning about new research and best practices in the early care and education field, getting referrals to other services and supports, applying for quality improvement grants to make changes based on your goals. There's some specific requirements that are going to exist there, but that will be, there will be support available in accessing those. And then participating in group learning opportunities to build connections with other childcare providers in your area. So if that's something that you as a program might be interested in, I think Hannah will put the phone number and the website to Childcare Aware in the chat to access that. And then we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. We are also expanding the sustainability grants. So we will have, so this is information about round 2 of sustainability grants. Instead of this coming out as 3 monthly payments, it is just going to be 1 lump sum payment. And applications for this are going to open up on October 1st. Similarly to last time, there are webinar opportunities available. There was one last night, and I know that that was recorded and should be posted shortly if it's not already. And then there will be another opportunity on Saturday to provide information on how to access those financial supports. So we'll get that link in the chat for everyone as well. But if there's a delay and you're really wanting to do it right now, I know that that is also posted on Childcare Aware's website. And then we can go to the next slide. So like I said, the grant application for this opportunity is going to launch on October 1st. And then the application will be available through November 5th at 5 p.m. And grant applications must be received in Childcare Aware's office at that point. We're expecting to make awards on November 30th, and then the deadline to spend those funds will be February 28th of 2022. And again, all of this information will be available on Childcare Aware's website. And then we can go on to the next slide. There's one more program that we weren't quite ready to share information about yet, but we'll get this information out to everyone as quickly as we can. But just wanted to share that next time we will have some more information available on startup supports. Some information may be available before then. We'll be sure to get that communicated as it's available. So Hannah, I can get those links dropped in real quick. Sorry about that. And I think that's all I have today. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Michelle. And we will get those links in there for you shortly. So we always enjoy hearing from you. You always have such great news for everybody to hear and such great resources. So thanks. So we are ready to move on to the program part of our webinar today. Excited about hearing about the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and to kick that off and share that with us is Melissa Rooker, the Executive Director of the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund. Welcome, Melissa.
Thanks, Debbie. I'm not sure I see Pam in the chat yet. I can sort of talk about this without her if necessary, but
I'm here, Melissa.
Okay, I don't. There you are! Yay! And you have Dolly with you. Well, I'm Pam. I am delighted that you are here, and I will just make some brief remarks to say how delighted we are to be identified as the state lead for an expansion of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library in Kansas. The way this came about was a proviso was put in the state budget this spring at the end of session. Proviso is direction that the legislature gives, and what the proviso says is that the Children's Cabinet shall lead, be the identified state lead for the expansion of the program in the state of Kansas using existing federal funds. So we took that charge, we took a look at the funds available to us, and we carved out of our preschool development grant budget funding for the startup of this program. The nice news is that we are equipped to get moving. We made our formal announcement earlier this month, and we are very busy signing up new programs where we can do that. The hitch is that there are some guidelines with our preschool development grant that require us to focus right now on areas of the state that do not have existing programs. So I will let Pam talk more about it, and I will stick around in case I can help field questions when we get to that point. But Pam, I'll let you take it from here.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to share information about Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. I am Pam Hunsaker. I'm one of 2 regional directors in the US, and I love this program. Anytime you guys have questions about the program, please don't hesitate to reach out. Just a couple of statistics about the program. There are currently 85 Imagination Library affiliates in Kansas. Currently, 40,630 Imagination Library children are enrolled in Imagination Library. About 1.9 million books are mailed monthly in the US, the UK, Ireland, Canada, and Australia. And we've mailed almost 165 million books since the inception of the Imagination Library program in 1995. Next slide, please. As you all know, simply getting books into the home changes the trajectory of kids, families, and communities. But the Imagination Library is a program with big effort, with low cost, low effort, and low risk. It's a simple and effective way to make communities better places to live. Next slide. So how the Imagination Library works. Each month, in partnership with a local 501c3 in Kansas, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library mails a high-quality, age-appropriate book to all registered children at no cost to the child's family. The book is addressed directly to the child. Dollywood Foundation incurs the cost of the program's administrative and overhead expenses. We provide the infrastructure and coordinate the monthly book mailing. Local community champion or affiliate promotes the program, they find and enroll the children, secure funding, and they pay $2.10 per child enrolled per month or $25 per child enrolled per year. That $25 pays for the brand new age-appropriate book and the mailing of the book directly to the child's home. The books are specially selected. They're personalized with the child's name on the mailing label. They arrive in the home every single month until the month of the child's 5th birthday. Next slide, please. So as Melissa said, the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Dollywood Foundation will work together to bring the Imagination Library to children birth to age 5 in Kansas. We are so excited about this partnership. Kansas Children's Cabinet will be the face of the program, and the Dollywood Foundation will work with local affiliates to implement the program. As Melissa said, year 1 goal is program expansion to new areas with a $50-50 match for the new affiliates. Fiscal year 2 goal is program expansion to new areas. We want to continue to grow enrollment with a $50 match for existing and new affiliates in Kansas. This time we do have 6 new counties in Kansas that are getting ready to replicate the program, this 50-50 match. And we're excited about those. They're Clay, Potawatomi, Riley, Marshall, Washington, and Wabaunsee. I apologize if I messed up the last word. Got it? Okay, good deal. And there's 1 or 2 additional affiliates pending. So we'll see what happens there. Next slide, please. Imagination Library is important now. We all know food is a basic, but so are books. Millions of children in Kansas and beyond have limited or no access to text. Reading to a child, especially during the COVID crisis, helps children develop the emotional literacy skills they need to take control of situations where they might feel vulnerable and unsafe. Establishing reading routines have evidence-based results, linking reading to healthier mental outcomes. We all know that early brain development has a lasting impact on a child's ability to learn and to succeed in school and life. Next slide, please. The Imagination Library matters. Books are delivered to the home and it creates an event. Children are so excited to run to their mailbox and get their book. Want these books read over and over and over countless times. The snuggling and the sharing, it's all part of the experience. Reading together helps create a bond. It provides connection between the child and the caregiver, the family members, the siblings. These books come once a month. It's just a routine. The book is expected and people are excited. There's a sense of ownership and pride. These books belong to the child. They don't have to be returned. These books are theirs. It's a gift from your community to the child. The Imagination Library books strengthen the home environment, support natural tendencies of families because parents want their children to be healthy. Next slide. Now, the Imagination Library matters and the impact is amazing. In the home literacy environment, families connect around these Imagination Library books. Reading has been shown to increase up to 3 times a week, from 59.7 to 85%, 85.2%. Home libraries, right? So if a child enrolls at birth in the Imagination Library and they don't exit the program by moving out of the covered community until they turn age 5, they receive a collection of 60 brand new age-appropriate books that are theirs, mailed directly to their home. 60 books, what a gift. Kindergarten readiness. Research shows us that there's been a 28.9% increase in readiness for children in one study that we did. 3rd grade reading, we see significantly stronger reading skills in 3rd grade. As far as the community goes, Imagination Library helps increase library usage and literacy skills. It creates a shared bond among children. All children can go to school and talk about their Imagination Library books. Everybody knows the everybody knows The Little Engine That Could, or look at Kindergarten Here I Come. Know the books about Llama Llama and maybe Tommy DePaula's books on poems, poetry. They all create a bond with around these books. It also ties to adult literacy. In many communities, not all, but many communities that start the Imagination Library, we see increased enrollment in English as a second language classes, as well as adult literacy classes. We know that the establishment of reading routines brings about increased stability, emotional well-being, and improved atmosphere in families. Last slide, please. Dolly's motto is create a love for books and reading. Give every child the start they need in education and life. I want to thank you for sharing. Thank you, Kansas. Thank you, affiliates. Thank you for sharing Dolly's dream. I can't wait to see what happens in Kansas. I don't know if you guys have questions for Melissa, for me. I don't know if this is the time to do it.
Yep, for sure, Pam. And thank you for that presentation and describing the program so beautifully. There was a question in the chat that I fielded while you were talking that was specifically about how the statewide expansion would affect existing programs. Pam touched on it. I touched on it. We are expanding in new areas. For existing affiliates, nothing changes the first year. So you will continue your programs on the terms that you currently have. What we cannot do is come in and partner and provide the 50% match to the funds just yet because of restrictions on our available source of funding. So I will be working to see if we can get some additional budget capacity in the state budget for the Children's Initiative Fund to help cover the costs for existing programs. I may be calling on all of you to help lift the message of the importance of this program and the beauty of it at the appropriate time. But that's the work that we are doing is to identify additional funding sources. The goal being that starting in our second year, we can be a more traditional partner to all of you and increase the reach of the program by providing 50% of the costs. But for year one, please proceed. Everything is as normal for you without the state partner. Nothing is changing for existing affiliates. We are being very careful not to recruit new programs in counties where existing programs exist. We want to not tread on turf and have complexity in who's doing what to which kids. So we are focusing on counties that do not currently have affiliate programs.
Right. And Melissa, I saw a question Clayton wrote in about grandparents enrolling children. If the Imagination Library program must be in the community where the child lives. So we ask that grandparents don't enroll their grandchild in the program if the grandchild does not live in a community where we have an Imagination Library program.
So do we have other questions?
There is another question in the chat. What is the total budget for the program, for this program for the first year, startup funds?
So we've earmarked $350,000 of our preschool development grant for the program.
There is another question. I live in Wabunsee County. We were able to sign up at our local library through United Way of Flint Hills, Emporia. Will we need to sign up again? We also don't get books every month, usually one book every 3 months. Is that normal?
It is not normal, and I'm going to have to check into that. I'm making myself a note here.
And I'll
right
just speak
now.
up really quickly. Our library is the Potawatomi-Wabunsee County Library System. And those two counties were mentioned as new programs. So I guess I'm a little confused. We got a little flyer through our local library that's open, 1 day a week. And we had to submit the flyer back to our library since somehow we were able to enroll through Emporia through the library, if that makes sense. So, and I don't know if there's a delay based off of where we live and if it's not an existing program, but we don't get books every month. We're just happy we get books. I don't want to complain. It's a wonderful.
Books. Yeah, you should get books every single month. I'm going to check into the one of I can't say the word Wabunsee program because I didn't think there was one there. But I'm going to check into it for sure. But all Imagination Library affiliates, the children that they sign up, kids should receive books every single month. If they don't, generally the issue is a bad address. You know, the child has moved and not updated their address, or the books are just not getting delivered from the post office. Every single Imagination Library affiliate that signs up a child, that child, a book is mailed to them. If we have their address and it's correct, a book is mailed to them monthly, unless they move or they turn 5. But I will check into this for sure.
Thank you.
We have a question from Janae that says, how do we find out where the program is in our county?
You can go to imaginationlibrary.com, find my program. That should show you that you're either going to see a map of Kansas, or underneath the map, there's a drop-down box, or you can contact me, P. Hunsaker, which is HUNSAKER at imaginationlibrary.com. And I will be more than happy to help. Thank you, Hannah, or Debbie, or somebody.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing a few comments in the chat, but I think those questions are getting answered on which counties are eligible that some of you live in.
Yeah, and so this is, understand, we first have to identify a local partner. So there needs to be a program that is a 501c3 as a local partner willing to share the 50% of the cost that their end of the partnership requires. And then we have to get things set up. So we just kicked this off last Monday. So we are working to publicize and make sure that people get the word out. We'll be working with providers and childcare providers in those areas and helping share the news about the program in the weeks ahead. So we definitely are able to work in counties that do not have kids already signed up in those areas with a local affiliate. Pam, it looks like the situation with Wabunsee involves a program that's based in Emporia in a different county that was signing kids up. So I'm not quite
Okay.
sure how that works out, but anyway, that's
I'll check that out.
yeah, that what we cannot do with existing programs, let me make this clear for those of you on the phone, on the webinar that are existing grantees or existing affiliates, we cannot simply say new kids that you sign up can be part of our statewide partnership because of the internal tracking. It is not set up to allow an existing affiliate to cost share for new children signed up. We have to have brand new partnerships with new and different partners in geographic areas that do not have current affiliates operating. So you may be an existing affiliate who branches out into a new set of zip codes in your area. That we still cannot, we are restricted from partnering with you because you are already doing this work and already have money in your budget to sign up kids. So that is the unfortunate reality of the way this program is being funded at the moment. You know, Rich, I see your question and I'm going to repeat this. That is the goal. Our goal is to raise the money from a funding source that allows us to partner with existing partners. The best way to ensure the longevity and sustainability of this program will be for the legislature to give the cabinet some budget capacity from state level funds that don't have the same strings that the federal funds do. So we will be in close contact with all of you. We have our goals laid out. We have our work cut out for us. I cannot guarantee a start date to existing partners for when that we will be able to come in and pick up 50% of your costs. And for that, again, I'm sorry, but the way the legislature chose to fund this program, this is the reality that we're dealing with.
We have a question on what's your message to potential partners? Who should they contact or reach out to? Is that you, Pam?
Absolutely. Please feel, excuse me, please feel free to reach out to me.
Or Melissa, I'm sure too.
Yep, absolutely.
It also looks like there's a question from Jennifer. Can existing programs get, oh, it just jumped, I apologize. Existing programs get TA or other assistance in gathering outcome data to help us secure other funding?
You want me to take that, Melissa?
That'd be great.
Okay. Jennifer, first of all, it's good to see you. And second of all, that's a question that we're trying to figure out. I would give you a tentative yes. I mean, what we're really actually looking at is how can we integrate the data from the Imagination Library into existing data that we have so that we're not having to do new data collection that you all do a lot of already. So for example, how can we link this to DAISY or a KSE data set or other data sets that exist? Other states have done that, and that is going to be the easiest way for us to get outcome data while minimizing the data collection burden on you and families. So those are the kinds of things we're talking about now, Jennifer, and I'd love to get your thoughts and hear what you've been thinking so we can consider those as we think about the best way to do this for the state as a whole.
Joanne, can you clarify the last part of your question where it says, can you share who the partnership may be? Could you specify for that?
I guess I'm just asking, because I know I've been watching for a long time for this to come to Riley County. And you got it's saying that they should be coming here, but I was just curious. You said 50%, so you have to have a partnership, basically 50% of it has to come from a 501c3. I was just curious, is there one that's already being talked about for here in Riley County?
That's part of the rollout of our new program. So this is brand new.
Right.
This month. We are announcing that we are rolling out. That work is being done to set it up. And yes,
Okay.
it requires a local partner. So
Right.
we're excited to share this news and announce this and work with you and make sure that we get things set up. But that is all work in progress.
Okay, so if you, maybe I'm hearing wrong or right, you have a local partner or you're looking for a local partner still?
Pam, you want to speak to that?
We have a local partner in Riley County. They
Okay.
are currently at committed status, so they're not operating, they're not mailing books,
Right.
working
Okay.
on getting ready to launch.
Okay.
There
That's
are agreements that have to be signed.
Mhm.
So we have our set of counties that have committed to become affiliates that Pam outlined for you. That work is being done. Stay tuned.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. I guess maybe I just didn't hear all of that, but thanks for clarifying for me.
Donna, I see in the chat that you have a really encouraging anecdote. Would you mind sharing that?
Sure. United Way of Greater Topeka partners with Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library on our Imagination Library program. And we've been working, we're probably 4 years in, and we worked pretty hard with Topeka Public Schools to get a question added to their kindergarten roundup process that says, did your child participate? And an agreement to help us, basically put those kids in a cohort so we can look at them down the road. And, we're not, obviously causality is not going to be provable, but at least maybe we can find some correlation there.
Yeah, our hope is that we're going to be able to do that all on the back end, so we don't have to ask parents for anything. We would be able, Pam and team would be able to provide us with data that we could match with existing data sets, and we would have very detailed information about how many months and what age they started to enroll. So it really the same idea of what you're doing, but hopefully we can smooth the path and make it a little bit easier.
And do it more state level. And let me just clarify, we are talking in terms of aggregate data, not personally identifiable data. The Dollywood Foundation takes the privacy of families very seriously. That is one of the details that programs have to commit to, is the management of data that it outlines what can and cannot, what is and isn't shared. So most of the information is held by the Dollywood Foundation, correct, Pam? The signups are directly with you and not with our we know how many families sign up. We know age bands of, the kids, we know the ages of kids receiving books, that kind of thing in aggregate. So I want to be very clear that we are not collecting data on individual people as part of this project. So
Right, yeah,
just
that's
clarifying.
exactly right, Melissa. Yes, the local affiliate does enroll the children. So the Dollywood Foundation does not, the local affiliate does, but you are exactly right. Safety and security of the children enrolled in the Imagination Library is of utmost importance to the Dollywood Foundation. We don't share that information. We don't sell that information. What we do is send a book to child, the end.
Yep. Any other questions? I know, Debbie, you've got more on your agenda.
I do. So if everyone's gotten some answers today, we've heard some great information and excited that this is going to happen. I know there's been a lot of hard work going on to bring this to Kansas. So we thank everybody for your questions and for listening in. And as Melissa and Pam kind of said, stay tuned. There's more great things to come. So thanks for being here with us today.
Appreciate the enthusiasm.
Next up on our agenda, we have the Our Tomorrows team that is going to be conducting a mini sense-making session with you. And so we have Jenny Flinders and Jen Heeg, who I believe are here to get that started.
Yes, thank you, Debbie. It's good to see you all again. It's been a little bit since we've joined you and done some sense making with you, shared some stories and some patterns. I'm also super excited to introduce Jen Heeg, who is new to our team and is going to walk you all through some interesting things she's found in the story bank and the patterns lately. You all are probably pretty familiar with this, but this goes a lot better for all of us if you are up for engaging with us. Turn on your camera, feel free to put questions and comments in the chat, and we'll monitor that as well. But we really look forward to talking with you. So go for it, Jen.
Thank you, Jenny. Can everybody hear me okay and see my slides okay? Are we good? Okay. So yeah, I'm Jen. I am pretty new at the Center for Public Partnerships and Research, CPPR, at KU. So I just wanted to start to get a sense of how many people know about Our Tomorrows. I'm happy to give one-on-one kind of orientations to people later, but I'm going to do something, just a real quick overview. I'm wondering if you can either give me a thumbs up like this on screen or a reaction on Zoom or anything to let me know. Sorry, I skipped ahead. All right, I'm seeing a few. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you. That helps a lot. So Our Tomorrows is a project that is run out of CPPR. We use a computer program. It's called Sensemaker. And what we do is we collect stories from folks all across Kansas. And the super cool thing is when people write their story, they also take part in the analysis directly. They answer questions and we're able to look quantitatively at their reported responses. So Sensemaker really lets patterns be identified, and we explore to get new understandings specifically around what families need to thrive in Kansas. So typically when we use these stories and analysis and run sense-making sessions, stakeholders can help interpret what's happening and suggest small-scale solutions, which we call actionables. And so we wanted to do a mini session now, and we're hoping it goes well enough that y'all are interested in doing this on an ongoing basis. So for those of you who haven't seen it, here's a screenshot of one of the many ways to submit a story on Our Tomorrows. If you may see a different link. This is a particular one through KCCTF. So the Story Bank launched in 2019. And since then, we've collected over 5,000 stories from every single county in Kansas. Not 5,000 per county, 5,000 total stories, at least one from every county in Kansas. So the stories so far have been used in a few main ways. They help inform state level policymakers about the concerns, needs, and perspectives of everyday Kansans. And they work kind of like I was mentioning in partnership with organizations in different parts of Kansas that contributed to the collection of these stories. And then they use the stories to design small actionables. So in addition to that, we really want people who are reading these stories and taking part in our sessions like today to think about this all at all the levels, including what you can do personally. So what does this story, what does this information tell you that you think that your school should know, or that would change how you behave, or what you think the state should know for your own personal advocacy as well? So we're trying to collect patterns and identify patterns with connections between the stories. And so we're hoping that we can do, like I said, just kind of a little mini session, because I found some really interesting patterns when I was looking at August 2020 to August 2021, and some shifts that I wanted to bring to this group to see what you thought. So when you click on the story, you get a little prompt from the online portal, and this is what it asks you to do. Remember a time when you felt like your family or another family you know was thriving or just surviving. Share an experience describing what was happening at that time in the family. So first, I want to ask you to do the same thing. You don't have to write it down. Don't have to say it out loud. Just keep in mind, if you were writing this story, how would you describe a time when you felt like your family was thriving or just surviving in just like 1 or 2 sentences? So I'll give you a sec just to think of whatever comes to mind for you. Okay. So keep that experience in mind, please. And then what I want to ask you to do is basically do what people do when they submit stories online, which some of you may have already done. So what you do is you place yourself on this blank triangle, just like you were sharing a story in the online portal. So the question here is, in the experience that you have in mind, are decisions here made based on thoughtful planning, things beyond the family's control, or gut feeling? So this is where people actually have a chance to kind of put their dot, or you can use your cursor anywhere within this triad that makes sense to you. So if you thought that in your scenario, the decisions were made based on a perfect combination of those 3 things, thoughtful planning, things beyond the family's control, and gut feeling, your dot or your cursor will go right in the middle of this triangle. So if it was totally gut feeling, then your dot will go to the bottom right. And if it was something between thoughtful planning and gut feeling, for example, then it would go somewhere close to the bottom and somewhere close to the middle. So hopefully you get the point. You can kind of put yourself anywhere you want in the triangle, and there's no right or wrong answers whatsoever. So just want to give you a second to have a look. If you haven't already, just kind of mentally place yourself. Please do that. So the idea is that once we have a large number of people doing this, then we can see if general sentiments have shifted at all over time. And this is where we saw a pretty big shift in our data between August 2020 and August 2021. So I'm going to give a couple of examples right now of stories, and I'm going to ask my lovely colleagues to read the stories so that you get a break from hearing my voice. So Jenny, do you mind reading this story for us, please?
Not at all. All right, so this story says, so once the $600 unemployment ended, that totally screwed us. We were only getting $10 a week after that happened. I have 3 children scared to go to school because one of my children is disabled and more prone to the COVID virus. But now we can't even pay our bills. How are my children supposed to learn online if we don't have internet because we couldn't pay the bill? That goes for electric too. We have jobs, but we work for the bus company to get the kids to school, but they keep pushing back the date to start. It's not fair to my family or anybody else going through this. The government really let us down. This is how I feel, and nobody is going to change that. Shawnee has been a great place to live, but I fear if things don't change, we will end up on the streets with 3 kids and one that is disabled who can't walk more than 100 feet without severe complications. Please help. I will not give up, but if things don't change, I'm afraid for my family's sake. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm having a hard time. My cursor disappeared. So I hope you guys can hear me okay right now. Okay, perfect. So you can see that that story is up at the top in the area of things beyond family's control. And just to keep it constant, we're going to look at a story from August 2021 that is in that same little part of the triangle. So Ariana, can you read this next one?
I am happy to. 4th of July disaster. A family friend was having fun with friends riding their new UTV when they took a corner too fast, skidded out of control, hit a ditch and rolled, throwing our friend, the passenger, and rolling on top of him. He was life watched from the scene. He has had multiple surgeries and dealt with enormous amounts of pain, but is now well on the way to recovery. During those first few days, his wife and children were just surviving. They went from having fun to a life-threatening situation in an instant. They didn't know if he would make it to the hospital alive, or if he did, if he would recover. It was a very stressful time for all involved, family and friends.
All right, thank you. So we said that was at the top as well. But what was really interesting is actually when we looked at the totals, a shift in how decisions were made was really visible from August 2020 to August 2021. So you can see that in August 2020, that top part like totally dominated. We saw 106 stories out of whatever the total was, adding up all those numbers. But by far the most stories were in that things beyond the family's control part. And then you can see in August 2021, well, I guess 2 things. First of all, you can see the number of total stories is quite a bit lower, and that's something we can talk about offline or at a different time. But the other thing you can see is that there's a pretty big split here between thoughtful planning and things beyond the family's control. So there's a big shift in the way people are thinking, about their own stories that they shared themselves. So I thought that was really striking. And me looking at it, I could think of a gazillion reasons why this may or may not be the case, but I thought it would be way more interesting to see what y'all think and how you make a sense of this difference. So if you can unmute, if you can add your thoughts to chat, we'll just take like a minute. And then I'm going to show you some more information and then we'll take a couple more minutes. But I'm curious, what are your first reactions here to this big difference? And I will go back to that slide so you can see it again.
So my initial reaction to this is that in 2021, at least the perception was like things were more polarized. So the reasoning behind decision-making is more polarized, whether that's just the the storytellers or the story sharers perception, but it's, there's less spread.
Thank you, Hannah. I love that. That's super interesting. And it's not a way that I had interpreted it. So it's exactly what we want out of this mass sense making session. And please, everybody feel free to add to the chat as well. This is obviously being recorded and we'll get to keep the chat too. And I really would like to hear from anybody who's got thoughts on this. So I'll give it a couple more seconds. All right. And Donna said, we learned to live with the uncertainty in 2021. I bet our baseline tolerance for uncertainty has risen. You know what, Donna, that was my gut reaction as well. Michelle said families may be coping with the pandemic, possibly less reactive. All right, so that is really helpful. I'm going to show you a couple more things and see if it makes it any more confusing to you, because it did to me. So one thing we can see is that stories really changed in terms of their theme. And this was like the only part of these slides that actually was coded by me and not coming from self-reported data. But when I looked at the stories in 2020, almost everybody was talking about COVID. And in 2021, nobody was talking about COVID, or way less people were talking about COVID. So there was a big, huge shift in the themes of the stories, which could get into a lot of levels of psychology of why we think that's the case. But I'm curious how you all react to that. I'm going to give you two more. This one again was self-reported. So I thought this was super interesting. Most of the stories in August 2020, people said that they felt really negative about the story that they shared. And then by August 2021, I mean, this seems like a good thing. Most people feel really positive about the story they shared. So you could actually see, if we go back to that last slide, the example stories we gave. The August 2021 was about COVID. The August 2021 was not, it was about a UTV crash, right? But they were both negative. And that's actually not totally representative. I kind of picked them randomly. If you really looked at representative stories, August 2020 would be negative, and 2021 would be positive. And then the other thing that is really puzzling me is this differing timeline. So when people thought of a story in August 2020, they thought of something that happened within the last few days. And then I'm not sure why, but by August 2021, the majority of people, when they thought of the story to tell, they told a story of something that happened over a year ago. So that's also really complicating any kind of interpretation I've been making. And so with all of that kind of said, I'm curious, and my slides won't advance. Here we go. So how do you make sense of that? And so we're almost out of time. Maybe just like 30 more seconds, or just type whatever you can into the chat and I'll go, here were those key differences again between 2020 and 2021.
Jen, there are a couple great comments too in the chat. So Stacy says that in August of 2020, people were shocked and were still in the pandemic, and schools were dealing with fear and things that were not normal. We've got several other people that are agreeing with that sort of sentiment from August 2020 of us staring down the barrel of virtual school. Hannah's asking a great question about how do these maybe help show how resilient people are? And as Rich is sharing, time heals some wounds. So it's moving fast enough now, I can't read it all. So thank you all very, very much for engaging in the chat, and just wanted to share a few of those points.
Jenny, thank you for totally jumping in there because they were moving faster than I could read them. So thank you. And please keep writing. We're gonna let you go, but I just want to let you know, if you have any feedback, if you like this session, if you want to do more of them, you can write me, heeg@ku.edu. And if you have a chance to submit a story right now, if this has piqued your interest, please feel free to do that, and we can put a link in the chat. Thanks.
Thank you to the Our Tomorrows team for taking us through that quick sense-making session. And like they mentioned, if anybody's interested in doing more of that, that you can contact them and they will be happy to work with your group on that. So to close out our webinar, we just want to remind you of some upcoming meetings. We talked about the Early Childhood Recommendations panel earlier, which meets next on October 15th. And then our next bi-weekly webinar is scheduled for October 6th. Please always let us know if you have information to share or have ideas for topics for us to share out. And then upcoming also is the Cabinet and Stakeholder Group meeting, which is happening on October 1st. The Cabinet meeting will be in the morning and the Stakeholder Group in the afternoon. And we will be sharing some information at that on some of the home visiting issues. And
You muted, Debbie.
well, there you go. I had a lot to say and nobody heard it. So you can see right here the meetings that are coming up. I'm not going to read through them again, just because for the sake of time. We've enjoyed having everyone join us today. There is a link I just put in here if you want to register for the stakeholders group meeting. We wish everybody a happy fall, as today is the first official day of fall. And we hope you can join us back here again in 2 weeks. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.